Paper was like gold in medieval times.
Oh, not tobacco, sugar.
That everything we thought we knew about the world might turn out to be completely wrong.
Lady Gaga.
2009 saw Lady Gaga become the new face of popular music. In one impressive leap, she has emerged from a background of hard work and raw talent, driving tenaciously towards her goal of achieving something memorable and life-changing, sweeping all before her. With a string of hit singles from her impressive debut album, The Fame, which incorporates catchy pop hooks and infectious dance licks, as well as an inimitable on-stage persona, Lady Gaga has established herself as the superstar for a new generation.
Like a Madonna or a Marilyn Manson or a David Bowie, Lady Gaga is an artist from head to toe. She's just soup to nuts, A to Z with it. It's not just the music, it's the attitude, it's the fashion, it's the style, it's the persona, and that's what's gonna make Lady Gaga have a career and not just this one great pop record.
I would say she's one of those spectacle artists, whether it's being on videos or the songs she does. Everything she does is bigger than life. She doesn't do anything cookie cutter. She makes everything wow.
She knows how to play the piano and keyboards, and she's not just all show, she can sing. You know what I mean? That's what I love about her, but she knows how to give you a show. I mean, when she walks out, there's the show. It started. As soon as she appears, it has started. Her costuming, I mean, her sense of fashion is phenomenal.
She's somebody who uses surprise and shock, which has to do with her costuming, in order to, I think, actually kind of push a political agenda, which is very interesting. I think she's a very countercultural artist. I think she's pro-gay, but I think at the same time she fits into the whole mold of the 21st century Euro-pop diva, and she's actually really challenged the way we think about the diva.
She's self-possessed, she's ridiculously ambitious, she's someone who wrote a record about her own interest in fame before she was the least bit famous. She created a world in her head and then recreated that world in the world we live in. That's a particular kind of accomplishment for a pop artist, and particularly one whose design is to create commercial art and hide something weird and subversive inside it.
Gaga, as an artist, has really revolutionised pop over the last 2 years, and it needed it because she's got glamour, she's sexy, she has fantastic songs, and she makes people feel a little bit uncomfortable. And on top of all of that, she knows what she's doing. She lives in the headlines, she loves the headlines, and she creates the headlines, and that's perfect for pop music.
Lady Gaga.
Until Lady Gaga's glamorous arrival in 2008, the world of pop music had been lacking in true superstars. With the excess and idolatry brought about by 1980s pop icons such as Madonna and Michael Jackson, and 90s sensations such as Britney Spears, the 2000s had seemingly been void of the level of focused superstardom aimed at one singular artist that was once the holy grail of any aspiring pop personality. Lady Gaga began life as Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanotta in the town of Yonkers, New York in 1986. And it was clear from an early age that this bright young girl had her sights set on a future in music.
The story of Stephanie Germanotta starts at age 4 or 5, whereby the popular reading of the tale, she started showing a lot of musical talent on the piano. Her parents were Italian Americans, not badly off, and able to give her the lessons and the framework within which to develop that.
Music was a big part of my family. My father used to play Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, Beatles, Billy Joel, Elton John records, all the time, and he used to, we had a record player in the living room, and he used to like pick me up when I was a kid, and he would like draw me around, and I mean, I had a really amazing childhood, a lot of culture, a lot of meatballs, a lot of marinara, you know.
So she was always interested in it, and by all accounts wasn't the quietest child, and one of these kids that you'd see at any family gathering would want to go up and entertain people.
Lady Gaga's been an entertainer since she came out of the womb. I interviewed her a few times, and she told me that she would just run around her house and dance and sing for her relatives, or show up in her birthday suit for, you know, friends that come by at a young age. I mean, she was a precocious little child at age 4 who just wanted to entertain people and make people happy and like show off like her little skills. And she had skills. She started playing piano at age 4, which is pretty insane.
My mother made me play piano when I was 4. It was kind of a discipline thing, and she used to say, you don't have to practice, but you gotta sit there for an hour every day. You can either play or you can just sit there. And probably for the first couple of years, it was like, you know, I used to sit at the piano and like I'd start banging, and I was a really bad kid. And then I got bored just sitting there, so I started to play, and then I got really, really great at classical piano.
So before too long, this precocious child was listening to Pink Floyd songs and extracting the cash register sound out of money, for example, and subsequently writing a song called Dollar Bill, you know, in a little Minnie Mouse notebook kind of thing.
She wrote her first piano ballad when she was 13. She started playing the club scene in the Lower East Side of Manhattan when she was 14, and really started making a name for herself.
The New York club scene can be quite pivotal for a young artist, and you're talking about a very young artist here. You're talking about a 14-year-old artist who probably doesn't know she's an artist yet, but knows she wants to be one. And her mother, Gaga's mother, or Joe Manotta's mother, used to kind of smuggle her into jazz clubs, open mic nights, where Stephanie would play her songs, her compositions on the piano to presumably appreciative audiences, because she kept going back. And to have that grounding outside the relatively affluent confines of, for example, her school, really must have given her an outlook on life that was unique amongst her peers. The school that she went to is an interesting one because it's a convent of the Sacred Heart, which famously the Hilton sisters went to, although Paris was a few years older than Stephanie Germanotta. If anything, she was in school with Nicky. They weren't great friends or anything. But if you're looking for things to rebel against, then a Catholic school is quite a decent one, isn't it? Particularly if you're into your Led Zeppelin and the rocky side of stuff, and music and clubs and things like that. So again, you're seeing an element of personality being developed here that might come through later.
Gaining vital early experience playing in clubs as a teenager led Stephanie to pursue that path further. By the age of 17, she had landed a place at the prestigious Tisch School of Performing Arts in Manhattan, on a course reserved for only 20 students per year, where she continued her development.
Yeah, she went to the Tisch School of the Arts for about a year, studying music, but also learning, well, not learning, but delving into the academic side of things, getting more into her theatre leanings, studying art and so forth.
Well, I think a student who attends Tisch School of the Arts is someone who's really making a commitment to being a thinking artist. So somebody who's committed to the artistic training itself, so working in the studio and developing yourself as an actor, and actor technique and training and movement training and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there's a huge intellectual component too. And that means taking classes in math and history and philosophy and those kinds of things.
I'm a firm believer that with natural talent, that's great, but it's good to learn about your craft. You know, if you go somewhere else to sing and they say, can you sing this in C? I don't know. I mean, what good are you? You know, so it's good to get a little background about who you are. It's like, okay, I can sing. How does this voice work? How can I preserve it when it's time for me to go on tour by singing correctly, breathing correctly? She plays keyboard. She's self-taught from a kid. I mean, I think she started playing like 4 or something like that. You know, and I'm sure as a little kid, she didn't go, this is a B, and this is a... So it's awesome to go and say, okay, oh, that's why these chords go together. Oh, well, let me stretch it a little bit.
Tisch School of the Arts has had an incredible tradition of putting out some real great thinking artists, whether it's a Martin Scorsese or Spike Lee, etc. And I think Lady Gaga definitely continues in that tradition as somebody who marries her interest in artistic practice with intellectual practice too.
One look and I'm done. One glance from your eyes and I'm captivated. The taste of your skin, the warmth of your hungry lips has me so taken, and I love the way you can make me dance from miles away. When I'm with you, I'm so sedated. I'm captivated by you.
Stephanie showed distinct talent and promise while attending the Tisch School, but the formalities and structure felt restraining to the aspiring artist. And despite the elite nature of the course, she dropped out.
I was a good student. I loved to learn, but I wanted to work and I wanted to make music. So I was in the Tisch program. I dropped out. I told my parents I'm leaving. I'm gonna get an apartment and 8 jobs, and they were like, have a good time, kid. And they were really supportive, you know, and I really went for it. My dad gave me a year to get signed. I moved to the Lower East Side when I was, 18, I moved to East Village, and then Lower East Side when I was 19. And, you know, everybody dressed different, everybody talked different, everybody's swagger was different, and I'm somebody that likes to experiment with different things, so I bought a lot of leather and a lot of sequins, and I started making, I was go-go dancing for fun, so I started making my costumes because it was cheaper. And it's a really big influence on the music because I sing about the lifestyle. I'm not making underground music, I'm making pop records about an underground lifestyle. That's the difference.
East Village, or you should just say the Village, period. There are a lot of artists, visual and audio and otherwise. And there's so much to see, so many different types of people. I mean, down East 3rd Street, the old biker gang, the Hells Angels, they're still there. You see them outside. There's so much to draw from and be inspired by. You have no other choice, I should say, no other recourse but to grow.
It's really difficult to pinpoint a moment where Stefani Germanotta became Lady Gaga. Some people would say that it's a development over her time in the Lower East Side. She might have been experimenting with certain substances, certain altered states of mind, reading a lot, studying theatre stuff, and all of these elements are starting to coalesce.
She was living on the Lower East Side, and she's infamously said that she would spend entire days doing bags of cocaine while she did her makeup. And so she would do coke, and then she would do her makeup until it was perfect, and then she would start all over again. And she doesn't really have any qualms about saying that. It kind of just adds to the glam rock mystique of who she was and who she's become. And so that was very influential to her, just kind of these days of experimenting with drugs, but also with her look and her sound. And it kind of, these little formative pieces ended up building up Lady Gaga and who she became.
Of course, with the whole background that New York has in music, with the people like Blondie, the Ramones, Cyndi Lauper, Madonna, Studio 54 and Warhol, all this weight of history, and for somebody intelligent and educated and musical, you can see that things may start to come to a head in somebody who's aware enough in themselves.
I don't know, she's an interesting character. From the time she was a teenager, she was interested in performing. Now that's not that unusual. You know, we lived with a lot of these entertainment robots who came up through the Disney Channel and who were professionals at age 12. Not so with Lady Gaga. She was actually in junior high at age 12, but by 17, she was basically in a bikini and fishnets performing in gay clubs. That's a little different than the Britney Spears story, and it's one of the reasons why Lady Gaga is a little different and a little more interesting than Britney Spears.
Whilst beginning a journey of self-discovery and developing her onstage persona, Stefani continued to play on the New York club circuit, where she had a markedly different sound and style to what fans of Lady Gaga would eventually come to know her for.
The weird thing is if what you know about Lady Gaga is the hits, and you're a fan of the videos and the big hits, listen to the record and you're going to find a few surprises, but bigger surprises are tucked away in her past. Yeah, she was a brunette and a little bit of a rock chick. Not an all-the-way rock chick, but you know, a little bit of that kind of performer.
She was almost kind of like reggae hippie. You know, she had the Stefani Germanotta band where these three guys would back her up and they would play covers of like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. And you could tell even then that she was super talented, but she had like a peace sign tattoo and, you know, just kind of dark hair and really different than what she's doing now.
She didn't really become her own until she got blonde and she got glitzed up. But some of her early stuff definitely had a rock edge to it because she grew up on Rolling Stones and Beatles. She loves Marilyn Manson. She grew up on that. You know, she once told me like she wants to make a dance record that rock guys would like too.
I think getting a foothold in the New York club scene is extremely important for anyone who's an aspiring recording artist. A lot of the students at New York University are always in the process of going out and playing all of the little clubs that are in the Village and the Lower East Side area. They're easy to get into, they're easy to perform at. It's hard to generate an audience, but that's sort of the work that has to be done, is going out and building up that audience. From my understanding, Lady Gaga is somebody who really spent a lot of time on the Lower East Side performing and developing her skills that way.
I mean, what's really interesting is the club scene that she was onto isn't really the club scene she's in now. You say New York club scene and you think, oh wow, maybe Lady Gaga was out there with a New York superstar DJ doing the disco circuit. No, she was actually in rock clubs and gay clubs. And again, this is one of the things that makes her a little more interesting. Though her big hits are basically Euro disco hits, tucked away on her record are a few glam rock things. And that's the world she was coming out of. It's not like she was a sensation when she was here in New York. And if you can find footage of her playing at the Bitter End is one of the shittiest, most washed up rock clubs in the city of New York. No one wants to go there. There isn't anyone in the music industry who says, really, you're playing at the Bitter End? I might drop by and check it out. Absolutely not. You'd sooner cut off your own feet.
Says that she really became Lady Gaga one night at the Bitter End when she was playing and no one would listen to her. And so she all of a sudden made this decision to take off her clothes. And she just played this song in her underwear. And that was the first time that people really kind of paid attention. And she said that that was the day that Lady Gaga was born. She felt like she rose up from the dead and kind of took her place in pop music.
Stephanie's talent, training and experience seemed as though it was starting to pay off when in 2005, at the age of 19, she was signed to L.A. Reid's record label Def Jam. This, however, proved to be a false start for the superstar in waiting, as after only 3 months she was dropped and headed back to the clubs to continue grinding out a career in music.
She was doing a lot of burlesque shows at places like the Slipper Room, kind of the Rivington, Ludlow area. And that's where there's a lot of creative people who live there, everything from artists to fashion designers to stylists, and she had this whole crew, a lot of whom work for her now. It's called the House of Gaga, and they're the ones who help conceptualize everything from the way she looks to her stage shows.
There's one person that Stefani Germanotta, when she was still with her band, met, and that was a performer by the name of Lady Starlight, who is, you know, a decade older and had been a veteran of the clubs as a DJ, as a singer, a performer, a kind of showman, if you like. Somebody who was really into the glamorous side of stuff. The interesting thing about Starlight is she's really into design and glamour and pop, but also heavy metal. So these two people were obviously going to come together and create something.
They created these shows early on that had a little bit of burlesque in it, had a little bit of disco in it, had a little bit of that New York gutter rat, you know, street club kid in it. Those early shows were really raw. It was like two sexy ladies in their underwear that were lighting cans of hairspray on fire. They had this cheesy ass disco ball that was kind of like Stonehenge and Spinal Tap. You know, it wasn't polished, it wasn't right, but they had this raw energy about them that just captivated that scene, and it made her, you know, the queen of that scene.
At the same time Stefani was building her friendship with Lady Starlight, she acquired the nickname Gaga from producer Rob Fazari, with whom she was working at the time, and which she would go on to use as her stage name.
She was working with one of her producers, and he was talking about the song Radio Gaga by Queen, and he just kind of dubbed her that, partly because of the way that she sang, but also partly just because of how theatrical she was and how it reminded him of Queen and of Freddie Mercury.
Lady Gaga obviously is a huge Queen fan. Freddie Mercury is one of the most flamboyant lead singers ever. I mean, he was just one of those soup to nuts entertainers where it wasn't just about the music and the lyrics, it was about the stage performance, the persona, the clothes, you know, engaging the audience in a weird, sexual, crazy way. So he was a big influence on her. So she just named herself Lady Gaga.
So don't become some background noise, a backdrop for the girls and boys who just don't know or just don't care and just complain when you're not there. You had the time, you had the power, you've yet to have your finest hour. Radio. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Goo, Radio Gaga. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Gaga. Radio was new. Radio, someone still loves you.
So you then had Lady Starlight and Lady Gaga, as she had become, putting together this review, the Lady Starlight review with Lady Gaga kind of thing, and running around in New York clubs, setting fire to things with hairspray, and singing Iron Maiden songs. It's like performance art of a sort, some of it very good, no doubt, and some of it just kind of playing with boundaries, personal and artistic, which is another key thing in Lady Gaga's career.
Lady Gaga took her show with Lady Starlight, known as the Lady Gaga and Starlight Review, on the 2007 Lollapalooza Festival, as she was now drawing attention to herself not just for her songwriting and performing talents, but also for her outgoing and risque shows. Having gained early recognition with her track Boys, 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 a female take on Motley Crue's Girls, 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 Gaga landed a position with Interscope Records as a songwriter, working for artists such as Fergie, Akon, the Pussycat Dolls, Britney Spears, and New Kids on the Block. Crucially in her development, Lady Gaga came to the attention of hip-hop and R&B star Akon, who saw something in her after hearing some reference vocals that she had laid down. He immediately signed her to his Con Live distribution label, as well as convincing Interscope to join him on the deal to sign her as a performer in her own right. With one foot on the ladder of fame, Lady Gaga relocated to Los Angeles and continued to ply her trade performing showcases of her music for industry insiders. At the same time, her style and fashion were also developing into the more flamboyant and extreme examples she would later become known for.
After she moved out here to Los Angeles, she had been dropped by Def Jam, and she kind of went back and retooled some things, but came back out here, got signed and kind of got put in a different direction, and was kind of working out different angles of her act and how she was going to approach it the next time. And that's how I came across with her on my radio show. And it's interesting when a band or an artist is signed and it kind of sits in limbo and they wait for some kind of opportunity to arise. And at that point in time, she was getting a lot of MTV, like a lot of times bands will get placement. They'll take a piece of the song and they'll put it on the hills or something like that. Maybe they'll get product placement, whatever. So she's sitting in limbo and she's an artist. So we would have her call the show. Now I'm doing a rock and roll, I'm on a modern rock channel. So I have to justify why I have this person on. But you know what? When I saw her do an industry showcase here in the beginning of 2008, I could tell right then and there. Now, once again, I'm not the biggest fan of top 40 music, but I can recognize if there's something going on there. There was costume changes. There was, even with a very kind of stripped down, bare bones stage set, there was just something going on there. And the way she interacted with the crowd, the way her intro was, she has a presence about her. There's like an aura around there that I haven't seen in a performer in a lot of years.
The people I know from California who met her when she was at Interscope as a songwriter, kind of recording her own record. And believe me, there are a lot of people who do that, and the record never comes out, or it never becomes a hit. All the people who I know who met her then are mystified by how ridiculous and self-possessed she was. You know, here's somebody who basically was a nobody, an absolute nobody, who's in 7-inch platform shoes, wearing knee-length stockings and elbow-length gloves, and holding out her hand to be kissed, saying, "I'm Gaga." It's like, really? Okay, I'm on my way to the bar to get a drink. I mean, that's going to be your reaction if you meet that character before she's famous. She created herself as famous when she was making the record. She created herself as famous on the record. She created the record as a meditation on fame. And it would all be just a stupid, absolutely ridiculous idea if she hadn't become famous.
But Lady Gaga was fast becoming famous. Her deal with Interscope allowed her to work on her own songs, and in collaboration with producer Red One, they sculpted the music into an album that was befitting of her persona.
When I first encountered Lady Gaga, I was listening to the record in order to prep to do her bio for her press kit. And from the very first note, I was hooked. Not hooked, I mean, I was excited. It was exciting. It was something fresh and new. A totally different genre. It was like the first time I heard Nirvana, how it was so jarring because it was so different from everything else going on at the time. It's like, what is this? Who is this woman? And then meeting her, it all kind of came together because she is who she is. I mean, she is Lady Gaga 24/7. You know, I was afraid I was going to encounter some poser, someone in just jeans and flip-flops and a tank top who just isn't really living it, and this girl lives it. I remember when we were doing the bio, we went across the street to get coffee, and people were just like looking at her and like, you know, stopping her like, "Who are you?" It's like she was nobody yet, but she just exudes this fame. And she felt that from a young age. Like, she always wanted to be famous. She always felt famous. She always acted famous. When she was in the club scene in New York, I mean, she was the belle of the ball. She acted like she was, you know, Madonna.
You have the ability to self-proclaim your own fame. You have the ability to experience and feel a certain amount of self-worth that comes from a very vain place by simply like your choices, your opinions about fashion, your opinions about music, your opinions about politics, the way that you walk down the street, the way that you carry yourself at parties. I mean, you can literally choose to have fame. And that's what this whole album is about.
My sense is that The Fame is a record that is very much a kind of commentary on celebrity culture and the excesses of celebrity culture that we live in the era of TMZ and Perez Hilton and all the gossip rags and so on. We're absolutely obsessed with the idea of stardom. And I think Lady Gaga is playing on that and commenting on our obsession. At the same time, it's also became the vehicle for her to become a star too, so it's a very ironic pose in a lot of ways. The album itself is a pop dance record. It's absolutely remarkable in terms of its sonic clarity. These are big club tracks that have incredible sound to them, very spacious, very open. I call it a kind of cosmopolitan dance pop record because the influences are all over the place. R&B, pop, rock, metal. It's produced by Red One, a Moroccan guy who lives in Sweden. So it's very much the kind of Scandinavian sing-song melodies that you'd hear in an ABBA record. That kind of accessible mainstream melody tied to an incredible state-of-the-art kind of synth dance track.
Red One at the time was so hot, and his influence on Gaga to help her refine her many influences that she was kind of learning about in the clubs and also from her musical background was crucial in kind of honing her skills more into what you might call a marketable writing commodity.
Finally, after several years of hard work and aged just 22, Lady Gaga broke into the mainstream with her explosive debut single, Just Dance.
Just Dance is one of just the best pop dance songs ever written. You cannot hate that song. It's simply unhateable. It's instantly sing-alongable. You just love it. She just had a way of fusing a little bit of that. She's got this synth thing that goes throughout the whole record that some people might be like, oh my God, that's too much, but it isn't. It really works because then she has other elements that just, you know, kind of balance off that 80s synth thing that makes it seem more modern.
Essentially, what it's about is being out of your mind in a club and not knowing what's going on and just being drawn back to the music. Which, whether that has a subtext or not of just being kind of lost in music, you know, people can pick up what they want from it.
But I find that all of the hit pop songs, if you will, are when I am like doing the dishes, not paying attention, or joking around with my friends, let's have some fun this beat. I mean, I'll just literally be doing something that's funny and it becomes a song. I mean, it's really the best way. It's simple, it's catchy, it's hooky, it's peppy, it's snappy, you know, it's quick. And Just Dance, which is my first single, I wrote that song in honestly 10 minutes.
The question isn't whether Just Dance is intellectual or not. It isn't. She doesn't mean it to be. The point would be that it's funny, which every pop song about getting wasted and dancing isn't. In point of fact, there aren't a lot of pop songs about getting wasted and dancing. There are a lot of pop songs about dancing, about getting into the groove. What does she want to do? She wants to one-up the idea of, not the experience of, Madonna's Get Into the Groove by saying, let's really fully describe what happens when you do that. You lose yourself to the ecstasy of dancing, you don't know where you are, you're wasted out of your mind, your clothes are coming off, it doesn't matter, just give yourself to the experience. So there is an intellectual dimension to this. It actually is describing the liberation of experiencing popular music in the moment, in the club.
It was really the first sort of shot across the bows that this wasn't a plastic pop singer who's going to just sing about boys and, you know, which boys she liked and which ones didn't like her and all this kind of nonsense. It was somebody who had a little bit more edge about her.
Just Dance obviously changed everything, and it was just such a huge hook. I mean, the music actually changed with Lady Gaga. There was a whole new style of music. The whole electro music came pretty much because of Just Dance. I think it changed the whole vibe, whether it was the hip hop and R&B crowd or the dance crowd. Everything just started going, hey, that's the direction we needed to be headed.
The thing about her music is that it's really shamelessly pop music, and we haven't seen that on the American charts for sure for a really long time. It's been dominated by mostly hip hop. One of my theories is that she kind of hit right when she did because of the economy. And I think that people, when times are tough, what they really want is just something really kind of mindless and fun, and she kind of satisfied that. That's right when Just Dance came out, right at the end of last year, and people could just go to the club and they were just dancing. And I think that the entire Fame album really is just a lot of fun more than anything, and I think that that's a huge reason why people wanted it and needed it. And I think that she's helping to make pop music, you know, there's a resurgence of pop music now because of that. I think she sort of led the way.
Well, I think that what happened in the mid-2000s, if you may say, is that urban music started to change and started to adopt more explicit or overt European pop influences. I think two of the culprits in that were the guys from Stargate, the record producers, who really did merge kind of urban R&B and hip-hop sound with a more traditional European pop melodicism. And a lot of their songs for artists like Neo and Rihanna and so on opened up the door for an overt Europop influence in American music. And this harkens back to the 90s with groups like Ace of Base and so on, who were also doing similar types of work.
I know that he knows I'm unfaithful and it kills him inside to know that I'm happy with some other guy. I can see him dying. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna be the reason why. Every time I walk out the door, I see him die a little more inside. I don't wanna hurt him anymore. I don't wanna take away his life. I don't wanna be a murderer.
So I think when Lady Gaga arrived, it's probably the greatest moment in 2007, 2008 of that merger of the urban sound with the European pop melodic sound.
Just Dance was an unprecedented smash hit for the young star, reaching #1 in many countries around the world, including both the US and UK charts. With the hype surrounding Just Dance still very prominent, Lady Gaga finally saw the release of the album that she had been working on for the best part of 2 years. The Fame saw its release on August 19th, 2008, and was welcomed by many critics for its catchy pop melodies, but also for its glam rock influences and big production.
My music is pretty much a reflection of my transition from New York uptown to New York downtown and all the things that I've discovered. And it's everything, you know, it's pop, it's a little bit, you know, hip hop R&B, it's got dance elements, 70s glamour, 80s synth sounds. It's pop, but for me, pop is the new underground.
I mean, I think the mainstream pop fans are always searching for something a little edgier. Of late, I think Rihanna has pushed the limits a little bit with some of her shows. She's gotten a little darker and edgier. Her fashion has showed that too. Katy Perry is another artist who's very theatrical. She comes out on a banana, she wears crazy outfits. There's a little bit of this scene going, you know. It's kind of started out with the guys. Like there was like Mika and Scissor Sisters and soon to be Adam Lambert, you know, from American Idol, and you know, old school people who are still touring like Manson or whatever. There wasn't really a crop of girls doing this yet. So I think mainstream dance or pop fans are like looking for that.
We got a red light, pornographic dance fight, systematic, honey, but we got no money. Our hair is perfect while we're all getting shit wrecked. It's automatic, honey, but we got no money. Daddy, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, yeah. We just like the party, like to party, yeah. Bang, bang.
Beautiful, Dirty, Rich is a song very much about her time on the Lower East Side and this time of glamour and fashion. I mean, the whole album, The Fame, is all about that. That's what she was trying to get across, is she wanted to live this lifestyle. But that song in particular is kind of like plucking one night out from going out, and all the things, like a laundry list of the things that she, you know, is involved in. And it's glamour, but it's kind of gritty. It's very Lower East Side. It's drugs, and it's just kind of indulgent, you know, and that's what that song kind of epitomizes.
Gaga's self-prophesized fame was fast becoming reality, and as well as her catchy debut single, fans and commentators alike were also drawn by her unique onstage style, as she forced elements of the alternative into the mainstream.
When I think of someone's style, I think of someone's everyday wear. If a person dresses preppy, if a person dresses a little hipster, if a person dresses ladylike. For Lady Gaga, it's not really a style, because yes, you know, she's in the public eye and we always see her wearing these crazy outfits, but it's more of a performance thing. So do I know Lady Gaga's real style? I have no idea. But I do know that when she's on screen, when she's performing, when she's on the red carpet, her style is crazy, but crazy in a good way. It's in a way that you get attention, sometimes negative, sometimes positive, but it's still attention.
You've got somebody who's aware of the power of the visual medium, but also, you know, the way she presents herself constantly. You see Gaga doing press conferences now sometimes in things that almost recall Birkers, you know, this Danish designer did it for her. You've got her in huge dresses that look like propellers. You've got her walking around for a while with a cup of tea, going to interviews. And a lot of that, some of it is designed just as high fashion statements, and quite rightly so, because why not? But some of it is clearly just to wind people up and to get people talking about, did you see her on telly? Yeah. You know, she played her song, who, I don't know, The Girl with the Cup. I mean, you know, everybody can relate to that, can't they, whether they hate it or not. This is an element, I think, of the way that people, in the early glam era, people like David Bowie and, you know, I suppose Lou Reed at the time as well, and Iggy and all of those, would play with people's expectations of what a pop star should be like, or what a rock star should be like, or what a man should be like. And these are powerful things, these are powerful images to set forth in the media, you know, and it kind of opens doors for you then to really explore a few more artistic boundaries as a result. So it's very clever.
The artists that for me have been the most influential, I mean, like Madonna, David Bowie, I mean, of course I love them for their music, and not to sound vain or shallow, but I'm almost more appreciative of their work because of their visuals. I mean, it completely changes the way that you listen to the music.
She's not drawing from Madonna or Cyndi Lauper or whoever. She's drawing from people like, well, David Bowie is a huge influence on her. You know, the Beatles, Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, these kind of people that are not operating within the parameters that you'd expect a pop singer to be kind of draw an influence from. And that creates such interest in it and intrigue in what is really lying behind these beats and these songs.
Talking about David Bowie or Madonna or Grace Jones, she's kind of like the love child of all three of those, and many other people, but especially because of the visual image that they all had. And I think a lot of it has to do also with their sexuality and the way their sexuality empowered them. I think she looks up to them in terms of, you know, bringing her sexuality to the forefront of what she does. And if it's from not wearing pants, something as simple as that, to, you know, talking about being bisexual in Rolling Stone magazine, she's just not ashamed of who she is, and she's not ashamed of sexuality. It was something that we saw with all those performers as well. from the way they dress to their stage shows, and I think she's kind of channeling that as well.
There's a point when you can tell that a pop star is going to be a successful pop star, and that's when the gay community, or a section of the gay community that loves pop, grabs hold of them and almost adopts them. Because there's always been a very highly developed pop sensibility within, if you like, the gay community. They've always been very open to it in certain ways.
I think her explicit ties to gay communities is one of the things that makes her an unusual artist, an unusual sex symbol, and somebody who is a little bit different from the artists who've come in the past. So somebody like Madonna also had those explicit ties and really helped open the mainstream up to gay communities, to gay culture, and so on. But Madonna was also heavily criticized for aligning herself with certain subcultures and then running away from them and moving on to the next subculture. But Lady Gaga has had, even for the short time that she's been out, she's had this real tie to gay communities, which I think is extraordinarily progressive and actually very countercultural. She actually walked in the National Equality March in Washington and spoke and performed in a way that I can't imagine Madonna in her heyday doing that in that explicit way.
I have seen and witnessed so many things over the past 2 years, and I can say with such certainty that this is the single most important moment of my career. They say that this country is free, and they say that this country is equal, but it is not equal if it's sometimes. Obama, I know that you're listening. We need change now. We demand actions now. And to Barney Frank, we are putting more than pressure on this grass, and today this grass is ours.
And with Gaga, she's not somebody that is as obsessed with questions of sexuality and fixed sexuality or sexual sort of preference as other people or other generations have been. Many, many times Lady Gaga has come out with statements that say, look, it doesn't matter. In fact, Poker Face is a good case in point. It's subsequently come out after the event that she's let it be known that that song was about being with a man but fantasizing about being with a woman. Now, whether that's something that's based on personal experience or not is almost irrelevant, because the subject matter is obviously something that is making a statement that says it doesn't matter now.
I think sometimes people read your lyrics and they read stuff into your lyrics and then they create
Thank
stuff.
goodness.
Yeah, okay, because there's one of your songs, there's a line where you're saying you're bluffing with your muffin.
Yes. Bluffing with your muffin. It's, the song Poker Face.
Yes.
It's about poker facing with your sexuality. When I was making love to my old boyfriend, I used to think about women sometimes.
Oh, good Lord. I'm sure he was delighted when you told him, because...
I actually never told him, but I'm sure he's watching now.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas, please. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me, I love it. Okay, intuition, play the cards with spades to start. And after he's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on his heart. I'll get him high, show him what I've got. I'll get him high, show him what I got. Now jump!
I don't think it's that surprising to have someone stand up and say, look, this is what my art is about, this is where I came from, this is what I believe. You see all sorts of examples of people who give gay positive messages in American pop culture. You just don't see it in American politics that much. And Gaga is different. She didn't come out of a teen pop world. She's not Britney Spears or Taylor Swift or even Christina Aguilera, who, by the way, has put plenty of gay positive messages in her music and videos. But she didn't start as a 16-year-old. She doesn't have any nonsense about being a role model towards teenagers to hold on to. So she can start out by saying, I want to make music about getting drunk and taking a ride on your disco stick. And by the way, if anyone doesn't get that when I say disco stick, I mean penis, but I mean it in a weirdly gay way, well, you're an idiot.
Gaga's card-playing sex game second single, Poker Face, confirmed the star was more than just a one-hit wonder. Released in September 2008 and charting at #1 worldwide, it was an undeniable smash hit, establishing the feisty singer-songwriter as the one to watch in the coming years.
Let's face it, especially in the dance world, one hit doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't sell any albums. It doesn't really make you very popular. You're a club artist. And she started as a club artist, let's face it. She was doing 3-4 clubs a night. You know, New York, she was huge. I don't think there's anyone in New York that didn't see her perform at least once or twice in a club. That's how she made it. But you're only going to be a club artist till you get that second hit. And Poker Face, just as big, if not bigger hit. And that put her over the top and made her a legitimate artist.
For her to be able to translate what she did in those raw videos and those raw shows into what she's doing now, I mean, just shows that. I mean, it's a lot like what Madonna did, you know? Madonna started out really raw and then got very polished. Her polished show now, it's not, you know, the record's polished. Sure, it's a dance record, it should be. It's not supposed to be gritty. But the fact that she has those gritty roots kind of brings her a little of more of a genuineness, you know, to what she's doing now.
And it's been a long time that we've had an artist that, off the bat, has a crazy following. I mean, the last time, you know, that was really, really like, I would say Madonna was someone who, when she came out, like had the following of the gays and the regular girl and the girl who wants to be bad. It's hard to find an artist that can kind of get all those people to like them.
With Poker Face already raising questions about Gaga's sexual orientation, there was certainly no doubt about how much sexuality she was bringing to her music and shows, particularly in her first release of 2009, Love Game.
Obviously, sexuality is a huge part of what Lady Gaga does, and presenting herself as a kind of sex symbol. I'd say she's an alternative sex symbol for this era and for this age, from the costumes that she wears, which, you know, I can't imagine any other real sort of sex symbol wearing those kinds of outfits. And she's often, there's often a lot of rumors about her that she might be a man or might be a hermaphrodite, etc., which I don't remember Madonna getting those kinds of rumors. So there's something about the way in which she presents her sexuality as this kind of feminine android type of, you know, conceptual performance artist. I feel there's something about that that encourages people to question her sexuality and to question what kind of a sex symbol she actually represents.
And we have to also recognize that the Madonnas have opened the door so that it's not so taxing on Lady Gaga. Now it's like, ooh, look at Lady Gaga, not, oh God, look at Lady Gaga, because they've done it. You know, we do have to pay homage to those that are before us. And it is because of that that we're able to do certain things that were considered risque and now it's cool.
The sexiest thing about a woman is when a woman feels sexy. You don't have to be, you know, 5'10", blonde hair, blue-eyed, you know, hourglass figure, whatever, to be sexy. Lady Gaga is not the most beautiful woman on the pop scene right now. But what she has is this sexual energy and this sexual confidence and this sexual power that makes her one of the most appealing women out there today. And she puts it out there. I mean, she's bold enough to go out without pants on 99% of the time. And this girl has curves, and that's good. And I think it sends a good message to women, because real women have curves. And for her to go out there with her gorgeous curvy hips and body and just wear no pants and just wear the leotard and the tights, it shows to other women, like, I can do that too. Like, maybe not exactly go out without pants on, but I can be comfortable in my own skin.
I'm on a mission, and it involves some heavy touching, yeah. You've indicated your interest, I'm educated in sex, yes, and now I want it bad, I love game, hold me and love me, just wanna touch you for a minute, maybe 3 seconds is enough for my heart to quit. Let's have some fun.
The record is unbelievably craven, just unbelievably desperate to be on the radio and to get people into clubs and dancing. But it's also weird and hilarious. And the sexuality on that record is also craven and desperate, but challenging. You know, I mean, the way she works the word cock into a song. You know, you're standing on the block with a smile on your face and your hand on your nobody forced her to bleep that out or re-record it. She works into the rest of the song every time it stands in for the word cock. So she gets to say it and not say it at the same time. This is a pretty neat trick. And it's the trick of someone who's basically saying, I'm going to write ridiculous pop songs, but they're going to be really, really sexual in a way that, you know, mom and dad may not understand. Anybody who turns on the radio or goes into a club will understand it.
A lot of women are afraid to just put their sexuality out there. And in her lyrics, she talks about wanting sex. She talks about going for the boy. She talks about being a sexually aggressive woman. And it's all part of who she is. And it makes her really appealing. And I give her a lot of credit, because you don't see artists like even Pink or Gwen Stefani really fully using their sexuality. And I can understand why some people hold back. But Lady Gaga doesn't hold back, and I think that makes her a really brave, confident, extremely sexy, beautiful woman to be able to just put it out there the way she does.
Have some fun, this beat is sick. I wanna take a ride on your disco stick. Don't think too much, just bust that kick. I wanna take a ride on your disco stick. Let's play a love game, play a love game. Do you want love, or you want fame, or you win the game? Know the love game. Let's play a love game, play a love game. Do you want love, or you want fame, or you win the game? Know the love game.
Hey, sex sells, you know. I don't care where you are. Yes, there's always going to be the repressed people in the world. Oh my God, this song was about a disco stick. I know what they're talking about. But ultimately, that's what people remember. People love sex. That's why we're all here in the first place.
By 2009, Lady Gaga was becoming a household name, as her songs kept scoring high in the charts and her several TV appearances drew mass attention for her unique outfits and superstar persona. She was achieving the fame she had set out to examine on her record, and this was all the more remarkable due to the fact that she was unknown in the public eye when writing it.
I think she was a little jarring and confusing at first. People were like, who is this? And I was a little nervous at first too. I'm like, is this record gonna do anything? Like, Interscope kind of held back on it for a little bit, and there was a lot of tweaking of it. I'm like, is this not coming out? It was really interesting to see, because Interscope really took a chance, I think. I mean, here's this cocky girl who thought she was famous, dressed weird, and didn't really fit in any place in the pop culture scene at that time. And Interscope took a chance and just let her be an artist, and it really paid off.
A lot of people I've heard have described you as iconic. Iconic, iconic. I hear that word a lot. Now, for a new artist, how does that have? What do you think about that? I mean, because you are a new artist. Normally, icons are the Michael Jacksons of the world, which I know you love. But like, iconic for a new artist, how does that ring in your mind?
It's very nice and hyperbolic and ridiculous, and I think that I need to earn that, please.
Does it put pressure on you as an artist?
Reading this all the time? Pressure on me. I know how great my work is.
I love that. Love that.
Not in a
and all
bad,
these girls do too.
No, but it's not in a conceited way. And I want you encouraged to all live your lives in that way. When you do something great and somebody says, I like that, you should look at them and say, thank you. I worked very hard on it and I know it's great. Because it's the only way that you really get that shareable sense of value in your life and that fame that has nothing to do with the cameras and being a celebrity. I couldn't give a damn about celebrities, but truthfully, if you don't honor your own work, you're nothing.
The idea of fame for Lady Gaga is she knows what she can get from fame, and it's given her a lot. But I also think that at the same time, she knows how hard she's had to work for it. And when I talked to her, she talked about the idea that, you know, even if this all went away, she would still be a musician. And she's talked in Rolling Stone as well about how the fact that boys will come and go, she'll always have her music. And so she's not even sure that she wants to be in a relationship with someone because she's too busy with her music. And so fame is a huge part of what she's doing, but she's also kind of dissecting fame and looking at what comes with fame. And like a song like Paparazzi, the whole idea of it is about, you know, fashion, fame, whoring, and death at the same time. And what does it take to be famous? Do you have to murder someone? Do you have to be murdered? And in the end, is that worth it? You know, and she kind of is very tongue-in-cheek about her view of that. And in some ways, she says, yes, it is, you know, anything to be famous. But when you look back at exactly what she's doing, it's a lot more strategic than that, I think.
We are the crowd, we're coming out. Got my flesh on, it's true. Need that picture of you, it's so magical. We'd be so fantastical. Leather and jeans, gold bras, never us. Not sure what it means, but this photo of us, it don't have a price. Ready for those flags.
Paparazzi is a track that pretty much sums up Lady Gaga at that point, in that she's both kind of attracted intellectually to the concept of fame and what it does to people and the way that it can almost destroy people as well as make them, whilst also craving it. That's almost, you know, that's almost a hip-hop kind of thing as well, isn't it? But if you, as you can see even from the video, there's a lot of mixed messages going on about well, death and rebirth, all within a 3-minute pop song that people can, you know, sing in the bath. Like,
I think a track like Paparazzi is maybe the most obvious example of the fact that she's dealing with fame or dealing with what she thinks fame is, and yet using fame to her advantage as well. The video with the suicide killing concept, it's all very conceptual. In that sense, it's, I guess, Andy Warholian. But at the same time, it's clearly something that's aimed at trying to make a kind of commentary on this age in which we live, in which everyone's hounded by paparazzi.
That's, I think, what the, let's say, genius of this project of Lady Gaga has been, is the ability to sell records with catchy pop melodies, whilst also even working out for herself as an artist what it's all about. What is this fame thing all about? Do you want to be chased by the paparazzi? Not really. It has consequences, but yet if they're leaving you alone, that's worse. You can't operate in the pop medium if that happens.
I love watching stuff like that go down, and it only happens within a real short amount of time. I remember telling a boss of mine, Lady Gaga's on the show. Who do you have on this afternoon? I have Lady Gaga's. Lady Gaga, what is that? Why would you have that? That's embarrassing, by the way. Who is that? Who is this person that you have on? And it went from that a couple times when I would tell her, hey, I got Lady Gaga, who's going to do this. And then all of a sudden, like about February of 2009, when Poker Face is all over MTV, and you got now oh, my Lady Gaga, then starts to work its way into the structure of, you know, public consciousness. Now, I mean, Saturday Night Live and South Parks and Madonna, I mean, essentially passing the torch, if you will, to this person, you know, I mean, to Lady Gaga. Very short amount of time. I mean, that's scary amount of time.
Performing together for the very first time, Lady Gaga and Madonna.
Watch me work. What's wrong, Madonna? Can't get into the groove. I get vibes. Looks like your wig needs a No, no, no. You are such a little bit so. What the hell is a disco stick? I think you know.
Lady Gaga is now a part of our popular culture because you can see it because she's in so many places. Okay, she's working with Beyonce. That's no small potatoes in itself anyway, is it? Was working with Kanye, but you know, whatever happened there. But also is able to be collaborating with the Bolshoi Ballet and announce that in the same week that Cartman is singing Poker Face on South Park. I mean, you can't get more contemporary than that. I mean, all she needs now is to be on the front cover of Knitting Weekly, and that's the whole set, isn't it?
Can't read my, no, he can't read my poker face. She's got to love nobody. Can't read my, no, he can't read my poker face. She's got to love nobody. Pop, 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 poker face, pop, pop, poker face. Ma, pop, 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 poker face. Guys, pop, poker face.
Guys.
Ma.
Look, I really think it's time for us to do something. This is all getting way out of hand. What do you mean? The song is sweet.
Since its release, The Fame has proved to be a massive debut success for Lady Gaga. Having established herself as a star, her sights are set on achieving the iconic status reserved for only the most notable artists, in a time when true superstars seem few and far between.
I was just talking to a friend of mine and I said, wow, where are the icons? It's like, where are they? Where have they gone, you know? Somebody wake them up. You know, we should be building new ones. What's everybody doing? You know, and then she came. Ta-da! Here's one. She totally got it.
I think she's absolutely bringing back a kind of stardom that we haven't seen in some time. She is a global pop icon at this point. In a very short amount of time, she's become that. Yet at the same time, I think that the issue that some people have with her has to do with her use of shock and her use of, you know, the provocative in her work. Because for some people, that negates the talent itself. I think she's an extraordinarily talented performer. She plays beautifully. I think she was maybe even going to go to Juilliard when she was much younger and so on. So she clearly has talent, not only as a musician, also as a vocalist. But for a lot of people, that talent is obscured by the costumes. It's obscured, you know, by the campiness and the over-the-topness of everything that she does. So as she continues to develop her stardom, it's going to be interesting to see how she strikes that balance between the extroverted aspects of her work and then those introverted aspects.
We're back with the extraordinary Lady Gaga. Are those braces? What are you wearing? Is that like a... Listen,
you're in orbit.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you know what? It's great to have your personal space. No one can really... I tried to kiss you. It's hard to get to you like that.
It's a barrier.
It's a good...
Giant Gaga barrier.
It's a Gaga barrier. It's a good idea.
People like to think of her as wearing, you know, like Kermit the Frog outfits and being so out there. And is she always coked up? Does she have any idea what's happening? But she's a businesswoman. And she's kind of using all these references and using them to her gain. And so everything is totally strategic. Nothing happens without her okay or without, you know, getting her stamp of approval. And so she's really the mastermind of this entire empire now. And so I think it's kind of wise though too, because she comes off as kind of coy and coquettish, oftentimes in interviews, but you know, no one should be fooled. She knows exactly what she's doing.
On the back of her initial release and to underline the success of The Fame, the album was re-released in November 2009 with an additional CD of 8 extra tracks known as The Fame Monster.
the album came out, it was called The Fame. It's been so successful that the album got re-released, or a second re-release. It's not really a re-release. There was 8 new tracks on this. It's called The Fame Monster. Now, you can read that as being that the fame has, you know, been a monstrous kind of fame in the sense that it's got everywhere. It's huge, you know. It's kind of all over the world, you know, roaring in its glory. But on the other hand, and another thing that the slightly darker side of it is that there's a lot of monstrous things, not just in the music industry, but in the world. And Gaga developed a kind of relationship with Marilyn Manson that explored some of these, you know, dustier, spidery corners of it. And I think that came through in it, in some of the songwriting in the interim period in between the initial release and the secondary release of it. What we're seeing is that behind the pop singles, and like Bad Romance for example, there's a darkness there, and that's what keeps it intriguing, that it kind of just muddies the waters a little bit. So you haven't just got a blonde tart singing pop songs, you know, as has happened in the past, girls and boys, yeah? You've got somebody who understands art, music and life, and that there's more to it than just one thing that's presented.
Yeah, I think the new single, Bad Romance, is something that demonstrates that you know, she's got a lot more left in her. It certainly follows the model of some of her previous singles, but it's equally as exciting, and you know, I think it's going to prove to be a dance floor success.
Bad Romance was the initial single from Gaga's re-release album and was critically well received, as well as being a solid top 10 hit around the world. With her style as well as her music providing plenty of room for discussion, Gaga further underlined these links by debuting her new single at Alexander McQueen's Spring and Summer collection during Paris Fashion Week.
There's always hero worship. I'm sure she has tons of fans who look up to her and want to emulate, you know, who she is, you know, how she dresses. I do think that what she does very well is she mixes the high-end designers like McQueen and Jean Paul Gaultier and Marc Jacobs, but at the same time she still keeps her own thing by creating things of her own through, you know, House of Gaga. So she picks and chooses perfectly. Like maybe one day she'll wear one of her own creations, and the next day she'll wear someone else's creations. So I think, especially being, you know, a fashion editor, when I look at her, I think of someone who is a brilliant mind in the fashion world that can kind of bring those two worlds together, from lowbrow to highbrow. And especially in the economy that we're in, everyone wants, you know, to know that, oh wow, she made that herself with fabric that she got down here and, you know, put whatever under it to make it crazy looking. But the knowledge, knowing that she doesn't only have to go to these designers to look the way that she does, and that it was something that was already turning in her mind, is what people on the streets, is what her fans love knowing. And I think that's why they respect her.
I would say to anyone that is not sure of how to express themselves, I would say spend a lot of time reading books and going to museums, watching old movies, and researching on the internet, and make a folder of all of the things that you really love. I think that that's a good way to start figuring out who you are. You'll see that the images will start to make sense. There will be a through-line philosophy.
Part of being a pop star is being fashionable. A lot of pop stars are dressed by their stylists. A lot of pop stars have their own style instincts. Very few pop stars want to look this ridiculous. Most pop stars, even when, like a Kanye or a Jay-Z, they're obsessed with clothes and they're setting the trends for the rest of their audience, are wearing clothes you could actually wear on the street. Gaga, who first came to our attention for her taste in fashion by abjuring pants. Pantsless was her thing. Clearly is saying, I want to wear clothes you can't wear on the street, that you shouldn't wear in public.
Do you ever wear pants?
Yes, of course I do.
But for the most part, I don't think I've ever seen you in pants. Is there a reason? Are you not pant curious?
Well, I have very nice legs.
Oh, no, you made me look. You wanted me to, you sly fox.
I brought you a gift, and actually you're incredibly wrong because I wear pants all the time, and I just started to design pants.
Can I have a look?
Yeah, and I brought you a pair to wear.
You have it hidden and rolled up on it.
They're no pants.
Hey, that's cool.
Oh, right.
Isn't that amazing?
They are they from the House of Gaga?
The no pants.
Yes.
I think it's very Andy Warhol.
So her references tend to be edgier. They're a little more out there. You know, the makeup is from David Bowie. The ridiculous suspenders, leather shorts, and military cap is from The Night Porter. That's just weird and messed up. And sadly, I couldn't begin to tell you whether there's a lot of thought behind it or she just thinks, hey, that looks cool and it looks challenging. But I can tell you that it doesn't matter. You know, what she's after is something that is absolutely gonna strike you as bizarre. Whether it means something is secondary. It's really about the spectacle. So again, when she appears on German TV in a dress made from stuffed frog plushies, I don't know what it means, but I know I remember it.
Her fashion's very avant-garde, and I think the fashion world gets very excited about her because she is coming up with new ideas. It might not always be runway or couture, but it's creative new fashion ideas. She's bringing excitement back to the fashion world. You know, fashion doesn't always have to be so pretty and delicate and perfect. It can be dangerous and provocative and edgy and scary, and it can be ugly, you know, and some of her things aren't pretty, and that's cool. It's just an expression. It's such an expression of creativity. And I think that's what's been missing in fashion for a while. You know, there's all, this year the pencil skirt is in, and this year puffy sleeves are in, and Lady Gaga just throws it all out the window, and it's like, this year razor blades on my elbows are in, you know? And that's exciting. I think she's probably inspiring a lot of designers out there right now. A lot of people dressed up as Lady Gaga for Halloween this year, and that's the mark. There's two things that really put you in that level of you are a superstar. It's when you get made fun of on SNL and when there's Halloween costumes for you out there. So Lady Gaga's on her way to being an icon.
Born in New York in Lenox Hill of '86. Cheered for the Yankees with my dad in Section 6. And after traveling, just dancing around the world, I still prefer a beer and whiskey with my friends on Rivington Street.
With The Fame Monster a top 10 success globally and a massive Monsters Ball supporting tour planned, Lady Gaga is going from strength to strength as she sets out to achieve her goal of being life-changing, historical and memorable, and provide the world with a personality big enough to placate its insatiable desire for fame.
Can't read 'em all, can't read 'em all. No, we can't read 'em all. poker face. He's got me like nobody can.
The musical map, Lady Gaga is on the brink of being life-changing, historical, and iconic, for sure. There's only one record there. We need to see what she does next, but she's already made her mark as one of the most unique artists out there, and I cannot see a follow-up disappointing. I think she's on that path of being one of those artists.
Yeah, she's totally on her way. She's not something that anyone will forget. You know, I by no means think that she is a fly-by-night or a flash in the pan, so to speak. I think she's going to be around as long as she wants to be around, as long as she continues to take care of herself and reinvent herself and take her music seriously. As long as she continues to do that, I think her staying power will be all right.
She's the latest in an illustrious line of musicians who understand pop and who are talented enough to be able to deliver what good pop should be. Now, whether Gaga continues to have a career in front of the camera in the music industry for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, well, time will tell. Certainly, you know, she's got everything going for her. She's cool, she's sexy, she's funny, she's really intelligent, and she, above all, is an excellent songwriter.